How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with your host, The Savior. Today, I want to give you a Mario Kart World review. And this is an early access Mario Kart World review, but I do think it's worth talking about this game, even if this is going to be a very brief video. This is from the early hands-on stuff and all of the, gameplay access for press and stuff like that. But honestly, I just think it's worth talking about this game as this is going to be the main launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2. I also just made a video about the Nintendo Switch 2, so you can go back and check that video if you're interested. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Become a wise one today if you love gaming analysis, video reviews on gaming, and philosophical content. I try and combine all of these elements together to give you something unique on this channel. Now, Mario Kart World is a very interesting game to me because, Mario Kart is just a classic. Everyone loves it. Where I live at the moment in Japan, if you go to any arcade, because we have retro arcades here, which is super awesome, you will always find the drum game, the taco game, and also Mario Kart, okay? It's just a no-brainer. This game is, built into Japan. It's in the DNA of Japan, and it's not surprising that this is super popular all over the world. Mario Kart is just a good time.
I have a question for God. Why? God! Just take me!
Mario Kart and Mario, to be honest, has just put Nintendo on the map ever since day one, and there's a reason for that. There's been plenty of attempts to replicate Mario Kart and the DNA of that game by different IPs, trying to capture that same arcadey racing chaos that Mario Kart has, but none of them have ever beat Mario Kart. None of them have even come close to the just simplistic joy playing Mario Kart. It's very competitive, surprisingly. It looks like a very kiddie kind of game, and that's because it is. You can play this with, younger people or, just with a group of friends, and it's still going to be a good time. It's very rare to find a game that literally caters to everyone, and that's because this game gets you very invested in, just a simple race, but there's so much going on, so much competition. I don't really need to explain why Mario Kart is great. If you haven't played it, do yourself a favor and play Mario Kart. You can even play it on mobile, and surprisingly, the mobile edition is pretty good. It never really felt to me that Mario Kart needs a step up in evolution, because there's not much difference between playing Mario Kart at an arcade, for example, or just on your mobile or on your Nintendo DS of, old, let's just say. This is a very simplistic game, but it works so well simply because of the competitive nature. So when I am thinking about how can Mario Kart, go to the next step, where is the next gen Mario Kart, I never thought they would go open world, and basically that is what Mario Kart World is. So I'm just gonna break down in this Mario Kart World review the positives and the negatives to break down this early access review, and then you can weigh up the choice to see if it's actually worth it for you. But this is going to be a launch title, like I said, for the Switch 2, so you might be able to get it bundled in, perhaps, I'm not sure, but I would say that this game, although it's amazing, it's not worth the money that it's asking for, which is absolutely insane. Unless if you are a Nintendo diehard person, asking $80 for a game as simple as this, to me, is a little bit criminal, even though they are doing a lot with it this time around. There's plenty of different game modes. I still think that the price is very insulting and simply ridiculous, to be honest. But now let's get into the first positive, and that is the new open world mechanic. I don't really care about the exploration in this game because they are trying to play around with exploration, modes in Mario Kart World where you can just go off and explore, find hidden stuff out in the open world. And there's some pretty cool stuff, you can get abducted by a UFO and then take control of a UFO. You can actually race against, just kind of NPCs in the world, like cars going by and all that kind of stuff. little puzzles and challenges to find, like little secret islands that you need to get to. They've got, a lot of new mechanics in this now, which is finally, I think they needed. So now basically you can do grinding like you're playing a goddamn Tony Hawk's game, or wall driving as well, which is kind of crazy. And they really do utilize that mechanic. It kind of reminds me of Mario Odyssey to some degree, where you're utilizing other mechanics to aid in exploration in the open world and stuff like that, which is cool. And like I said, hidden kind of little missions and quests to do. But the main fun of this game, what I really love about it, is the knockout mode. And basically, if you don't know, there's different biomes in Mario Kart World, and the knockout mode basically combines these different levels together, these giant races together. So you can have 4 of these huge races, and you don't even have to stick to the track necessarily to get ahead, which is really cool. And basically, if you get to a certain checkpoint and you're lower down in the kind of position, you will get knocked out. If you're higher up, you can carry on to the next biome and continue the race. And it's all about stamina, it's all about thinking about the best route possible, and driving now feels a lot more I just feel like it gives you a lot more control, where before it was kind of on rails. You can't just stop and turn and think about where you want to go. This time it really feels like you're driving a car. So in a way it feels less arcadey, but the controls are just so much better, and the new movement that they've added is just a lot of fun. The attention to detail as well, graphically, I would say this is the best one out of all the series, but it's not really about graphics when it comes to Mario Kart. It does look good though, but the level design itself is just a step up, I feel, compared to other Mario Kart games, where the tracks themselves, you might not get a classic like Rainbow Road or something like that, but there are some high quality tracks here, that's for sure, but it's not so like linear, which I really like. But there's tons of other game modes to play around with, so there is a lot here for your money, but I believe the best mode is the knockout mode, to be honest. But honestly, this game is only really fun if you're playing it with a group of people. If you're playing this solo, I would definitely say that it's not worth the price, but honestly, you shouldn't really be playing this solo anyway. So a few negatives, I would say, basically is, well, first of all, the price. Like I said, that's simply just disgusting that Nintendo are asking for that much money for a, Mario Kart game. And let's be honest, it's not the most complicated game out there, Mario Kart. It's a lot of fun, but it's a, arcadey, kind of fun game that you want to play for a few hours and then, put down, or just play with your your buddies. It's not something that you get seriously invested in, unless if you're a die-hard Mario Kart fan. But I just think the price is simply crazy, and the fun and the sad thing is, it's not going to get discounted anytime soon. This is probably going to stay at full price for a very, very long time. Yes, I do feel they've added a lot here, lots of different gameplay modes. I do like the new characters as well that you can play around with. And also there's actually an increase in players, which is a lot of fun because, Mario Kart, although it can feel unfair at times, that frantic nature of, getting the power-ups and, holding on to your defensive abilities or your offensive abilities until the right, moment, that feels even more crazy now because you're basically racing against a whole bunch of, new players, because they've increased the player size. So I do like that element, but honestly, at the end of the day, this is just another Mario Kart game. There's not much else to be said, to be honest. It's a good game, but it's not worth $80. Also, another small negative I have to say is the actual open world nature of it. Being able to get off the track, of course that slows you down, so there is a penalty for it for the most part, but it's not like as punishing as when you would kind of get off the track in older Mario Kart games, because they want you to get off the track. Usually this is more in the knockout mode, not so much for traditional races and stuff like that, but I just feel like, what is the point really in exploring a Mario Kart open world game? Yes, there's, things to find, like I said, little cool things to discover, vehicles that you can control, and, like lots of verticality and stuff like that, but Mario Kart isn't an exploration game. Yes, there are some incentives to get out there and explore, but to be honest, I feel like that's kind of just like a filler. The main game is still the races, and I just feel like that was kind of a bit of a wasted time sink, to be honest, with this game. But overall, I do think Mario Kart World is, a step up, and it's heading in the right direction, but it's not really, you know, the big wow factor, you know, kind of redesign that I feel like Mario Kart really needs. I don't feel like this is the huge redesign and, you know, like kind of big moment that we got with like Mario Odyssey, for example. This still feels very much like Mario Kart, and I guess there's not that much more you can do with it, to be honest, but maybe, you know, leaning into that open world element more with some of the game modes, I think that would have been better instead of kind of stringing them together where it's still a connected race. So that is my Mario Kart World review. The Mario Kart World reviews, I'm sure, which are coming out very soon for the full version. Like I said, this is an early access Mario Kart World review. I just thought I would talk about it as I did get to play some of it. But of course, the full experience might open up, you know, the questions and answers to why they went truly open world with this game, because maybe there's some, you know, better exploration later on, because obviously I couldn't see all of that. But honestly, I think this is going to be a good time, but I just think the price is insulting, to be honest, and yeah, I just think that this is, you know, yeah, okay, cool.
Mario, don't be such a pessimist. There could be something really nice in there, and you have no idea because you're not open.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So there you go. I do hope you enjoyed this quick video, my wise ones. I don't really have much to say about it, but I just thought I would cover it for people who are interested in this title. But I do think we really do need to take a deep look at what is actually the worth, you know, where's the price point for games like this, and is Nintendo crazy for charging this much? I do believe that they are pretty insane for charging this much, but it might not stop everyone out there if you know, just love Mario Kart and you just want to play this, you know, with a family or with a group of friends. But if you're looking at this as a, you know, game just to play yourself, then it does raise some questions. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this quick Mario Kart World review, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Stay tuned for some deeper content. I just wanted to, you know, kind of quickly cover the Nintendo stuff. Not something I'm super interested in personally, I've got to be honest. So I just wanted to cover it as quickly and as thoroughly as possible. And I'll be seeing you in the next content, the next video, I mean. Okay, peace out.